Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the DATMAIL Basics webinar, one of a series of educational webinars from WindowBook. My name is Monica Lundquist, and I am the Postal Affairs and Technical Support Manager here at WindowBook. I will be presenting the introduction to the webinar, followed by a live demo of the DATMAIL software by Steve Dowdy, who is our Mailing Industry Software Specialist. The agenda for today's webinar is to provide information about our DATMAIL software. To do this, we will first explain the difference between PreSource Software and post-presort software. Next, we'll describe some of the functions that DATMAIL allows you to do. We'll then turn it over to Steve to give you a high-level demonstration of the basic functionality of DATMAIL. Then we'll wrap up with the Q&A portion where you will have the opportunity to ask questions about the information that we present during the webinar today. First, let's talk a little bit about PreSource Software and post-presort software. PreSource Software is the software that's used to prepare the initial plan for a mailing. It includes such elements as address hygiene and move update functions, duplicate elimination, as well as the more commonly known function of sorting the address records into the sequence that's specified by the Postal Service in order to take advantage of various postage discounts. One of the key outputs of this presort process is the mail.dat file set. This is a group of individual subfiles which collectively comprise the relational database file that contains all of the details about the mailing, except for the names and addresses of the mail recipients. Now, although we understand and recognize that PreSource software is very powerful and a necessary part of the overall mailing process, we also know that the initial presort plan can, and usually does, change before the mail is actually submitted, sometimes right up until the mail is being physically prepared. Through editing the mail.dat files, post-PreSource software, such as WindowBook's DATMAIL solution, can make changes to that initial plan or mailing without having to go back and rerun the actual postal presort step. Several common examples of this including changing the piece weights, accounting for spoilage, and creating partial mailings. Mailings are oftentimes run through the PreSource software steps days or even weeks in advance of the actual physical preparation of the mail. At the time of pre-sorting, mailers are forced to provide estimated piece weights. But when the pieces are physically prepared, these weights must be changed to be reported accurately on postal documentation. Also, during the physical preparation of the mail, pieces can get damaged or spoiled and get pulled from the mailing. Sometimes they get reprinted and manually inserted back into their proper handling units, but most of the time they simply get pulled and are either mailed separately or just not mailed at all. Once again, post-PreSource software can be used to edit the mail.dat files so that these pieces are not reported as part of the mailing and postage is not wasted on them. The last example we'll look at is the partial mailing. Let's say the file that you run through the pre-sort step is 1,000,000 records, and your mail shop can only prepare and palletize 200,000 of these pieces on Monday. Using post-presort software like DATMAIL, you can identify and report on just the containers that you plan to present to the Postal Service for processing on Monday night. These three examples are just a few of the way that DATMAIL post-presort software can let a user accommodate changes to the initial presort plan and produce postal documentation that matches the actual mailing that's being presented for processing and delivery. On the previous slide, we talked a little bit about several of the functions that DATMAIL offers. Now we'll cover more of them by having Steve show you how these all work. DATMAIL validates the accuracy of your mail.dat files as it imports them for further use in reporting. DATMAIL also provides for editing and generating updated mail.dat and mail.xml data. And as we talked about previously, DATMAIL allows you to create and submit your postal documentation to reflect what's actually mailed. Also discussed earlier is that DATMAIL allows for removing spoilage and or shortage, so that you're only paying postage for what actually mails. The software also allows you to generate and manage intelligent mail barcodes for trays, sacks, and pallets. DATMAIL also has a very sophisticated but also very user-friendly Planalyzer module, which allows mailers to reduce mailing costs and manage in-home